This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by The Athletic, premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Listeners to this podcast can save 30% off the first year of an annual subscription by going and visiting theathletic.com/DSP. Don't miss out on great in-depth features. They got writers covering every single event in Detroit sports. Check out theathletic.com/DSP to subscribe and save 30%.
Oh my God!
Welcome, everyone, to episode 37 of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. On today's show, we're going to do things a little bit different than we normally do. Not going to review Raw, and we're not going to review SmackDown. This is a holiday edition. We want to give you some content, so we're going to switch it up a little bit, make it kind of fun. Going to cover a lot of things. We do have news and notes. In there, we're going to talk about Kenny Omega and how he might be on the move, some new signings to NXT, and a whole lot of news going on with WWE and Fox. But we're going to do the DocNJock Stock Watch, where we're going to pick a couple of your wrestlers, and we're going to tell you whether they're going up, going down, or they might just be middling around in the middle someplace. Daniel Bryan shoots hard on WWE Creative. We're going to discuss that, and we're going to do some fantasy booking. Doing all this with me, he is my tag team partner. He is also the tag team champion of the world. He is John the Doc Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
I know I'm sexy.
Yeah, baby.
So every week you're going to come into a new entrance? Is that what we're doing?
I feel like it's a good bit. People liked it. And this obviously Shawn Michaels, baby, greatest of all time.
I love it. Every week coming into a different song.
Yeah, you got to come in. You got to come in with a little bit of flair. You can't just come in and just intro everybody. You just got to have a little bit of flair, especially post 4th of July. Yeah, the reason why, like you said, is because we're recording this on a Tuesday. And definitely we're not going to get a chance to watch SmackDown. But if what SmackDown's going to deliver is similar to what Raw was horrible. Let me just be honest with you, bro. It was horrible to talk about. Horrible.
I shut it off at 10. Went to bed.
It was terrible. Raw was a mishmash of garbage. You didn't highlight some wrestlers that we think should be highlighted. It was really a show where you go, wow. It was almost on par with the Detroit show that they had at Little Caesars Arena. It was just really bad. But yeah, we said, look, let's break format. Let's do a show. Let's talk wrestling, but let's actually talk about some topics as opposed to reviewing the shows. Because, yeah, this week, if you braved Monday Night Raw, holy cow, man. I give you credit. I couldn't do it. It was that bad, right?
It was rough.
Real quick, why was it bad for you? What were your critiques?
To me, it seemed like it was just really disjointed.
Yeah.
It seemed like, again, lazy booking. It's something we like. I feel like we say the same things every single week. Lazy booking. I don't know what you were trying to get over. You know, like you got to go into a show and you have to have a couple things. You got to know who's getting over, why you're getting them over, and what this means in the long arcing story. I have no idea what's going on here. Like, none.
Especially with the pay-per-view like Extreme Rules around the corner, it's supposed to be the setting off point for SummerSlam, to kick off the summer. And if you just watch the ratings, the beginning of the last couple weeks' ratings have been really bad, and you think that they would react accordingly to that, but they haven't. They've just done the same thing, intro promos, making matches, and then the part that's even worse than bad writing and typical gimmicks is having the same wrestler that nobody wants to see wrestle twice.
Yeah, as I say, Roman Reigns gets basically a third of your show.
An hour dedicated to Roman Reigns. It was unbelievable. And it's just a situation in which we looked at it and we said, let's just critique Raw. It was terrible. We're not going to be able to watch SmackDown as we're recording this on Tuesday. But the first thing we wanted to address was, obviously the elephant in the room is Brock Lesnar's not there. He's the Universal Champion, and he hasn't been around in several months already. Right now, when you have your title holder basically holding the belt hostage, it got me to thinking, because we were going to talk about who should be next, and some people will believe maybe it should be Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman. anyone that you would say I would agree with. I mean, there are some top main event guys that can hold the mantle and that should be given the torch, and I think they would do a good job. Brock Lesnar has had a great run, a long, over a year run with the Universal title. But
He's still a draw.
He's still a draw.
But he never shows up.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
And it got me to thinking, and I said, you know what? Right now, they've made changes back and forth with the pay-per-views where they used to have now co-branded pay-per-views. I think it's time to honestly say, put the Universal title to bed. And I think they should revisit...
One title?
One title. And they should have another matchup at SummerSlam and say, look, this is our guy. Let's give AJ Styles the mantle and let him now be the undisputed WWE champion. And I think that would be an amazing way to go. Put the Universal title to bed. It's not a great title. It has no real history. You had a couple guys winning it. You've already changed. I mean, you had look what's happened because of Brock Lesnar. Earlier on, they were supposed to have like a multi-man match for the number one contender. Well, because Brock Lesnar's holding everything up, they scrapped it. Vince just said, screw it. We're just changing it. It's gone. And it's not going to happen anymore. Just like that. And you know what? I wouldn't be upset if the Universal title was gone. You have a win-win situation. You continue the feud with Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles. You have a unifying match, and you put over AJ Styles. And the next guy that should have a belt universally recognized as the guy is AJ Styles for the next 6 months. And they're not going to do that because they're not as smart as me. But that is the best thing for business, is to just eliminate the Universal title. It has no history, and the way Brock Lesnar's treated it, you've actually told us it has no history, it has no value when the guy that has it is not around. So, but if you're going to ask who should be the next guy after Brock Lesnar, easy, Braun Strowman.
Ooh, see, I was thinking Drew McIntyre. At this point, what Drew has
That would be too
done,
smart, and then that's why we don't believe they'll do it.
Right. What Drew has done has been incredible. You know, at some point, he needs to be your champion. He's the realest thing on the show. Like, when he comes up there and he cuts a promo, I believe every moment of it. And when he hits you, I believe every moment that he's hurting you. You know, when he lays you out, I'm like, yeah, dude, you just got laid out. Drew McIntyre is the realest thing on Monday Night Raw right now. At some point, I want Drew to either come out and call out Lesnar and continue to call out Lesnar until Lesnar shows up, or he just sits there and he creates his own championship and says, you know what? Your champion's not here. I got my own belt. What do you want to do? And just kind of do his own thing. Drew McIntyre deserves to be your next WWE champion.
But haven't you spent the last year pumping up Braun and you don't give him the payoff before Drew McIntyre?
See, okay, so Braun has... If we would have went back before Money in the Bank, we could have done all this different, right? But Braun now has the Money in the Bank briefcase. So Drew can wear the belt now for the next 6-9 months, and Braun can cash in whenever Braun wants. So you build this storyline, and you can have it all culminate at Mania if you want, where Braun has his briefcase and he keeps threatening that he's going to cash in. Like, he comes down to the ring and McIntyre finishes beating somebody to pieces, and then Braun comes down and he basically just calls him out like, I'll cash in right now. And Drew's like, come on. And then Braun's like, not even worth my time. It just goes to the back. Do you know what I'm saying? You could do that if you want. You could do that until Mania, like I said.
You can extend it out a little bit and pay.
You can build it up and then pay it off at Mania. And that's what I would do, because that way you're giving your young, talented guy, the guy who is probably the most believable person you have besides AJ Styles on your roster, you're giving him the strap for the next however long, 9 months. And then you've got your other most believable guy besides Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles coming down and trying to challenge, but always kind of leaving. Do you know what I'm saying? The only thing is, by doing that, it sends a mixed message, because Braun at this point's a face. Do we not both agree?
Yep.
He's a face. So those are heel tactics, but there's a way you can do it. You can work it in, you know? And you can even have Drew come down and try to coax Braun into cashing in on him, you know? So there's a way you could do it, and that's how I would do it, because now you're elevating your two best guys that you have on Monday Night Raw. You know, I mean, Seth Rollins is up there as well, but that's your trifecta. Seth, Drew, and Braun. Those are your three most over guys. You're elevating these two, and that's kind of the direction I would go into.
Okay, and so you and I both commented on it. We didn't like seeing Roman Reigns in 2 matches, and everybody's talked about Roman Reigns as a guy that is either somebody that you really are in favor of and you want to see him do big things, or you're really against him and you feel like WWE has given him way too much credit. They've pushed him way too fast and have pushed him way too long, despite the fact there's been heavy dissent. We have to talk about it. What should WWE do with Roman Reigns? What's the best thing to do with this cat?
Well, you got to repackage him. And this idea I have is kind of a mishmash of different things that I've kicked around in my head. And there's a great YouTube podcast out there called Wrestle Talk. And I'm going to take some of their stuff. I'm going to mash it all together with my stuff because those guys are on a whole nother level. But if I was Roman, I would come down to the ring. You could do it at SummerSlam and basically address the fans. Be like, you guys hate me. I'm tired of getting put in these positions, and just be real. You know, like everything that the fans hate about him, just address it all. Like call it all out and say I'm gone. Just say I'm leaving and get up and leave.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Pretty much. Leave and then go work the indies. Now, this is all a work. It's all a work, but nobody knows it's a work. So WWE has a relationship with Evolve. So go work Evolve shows. You know, go work other indie shows that don't get television. Go work, but stay off television. Stay away from WWE for 9 months, a year. You know, it's got to be a long time. It's got to be real because he needs to go away. He needs to go away. Jim Cornette says it's the best. How can I miss you if you don't ever go away? He's on TV all the time. In this past week, he was on TV for 2 different matches. So he has to leave. So let him go away. Let him become an indie darling. And then when there's a big hype building around him on the indies, because it's going to happen, he is Roman Reigns, right? I think we both agree he's a decent in-ring performer. His promos need work, or at least the scripts that they give him need work. I hear he's exceptional when he doesn't have to remember lines and doesn't have to read stuff that they write for him. So let him go be the indie darling, and then let him kind of come back. But when he comes back, he comes in as somebody different. It's not Roman Reigns, right? He can come back as his legal name, Joe, Awane?
Yeah.
Have him come back as that. You know what I'm saying?
That's not marketable. I like the idea of a rebrand, but I think it's more along the lines of he's got to turn heel. He's got to be a complete heel, and he's got to be the nastiest heel of all time. I think they're trying to do this whole thing where they shoved him down as a face. They just got to make him a heel. And then who's the most popular guy right now in WWE on Raw? Is it Braun Strowman? Is it Finn Balor? Is it
Seth Rollins?
Seth Rollins.
I mean, so you're going to have him beat Seth Rollins?
Turn on Seth Rollins. That's a program I would probably be interested in.
Really?
Back and forth for a couple of months. Yeah, that's probably where they're probably in the works. If you're going to repackage Roman Reigns.
But isn't Dean Ambrose supposed to turn on Seth Rollins when he comes out? Everybody's supposed to turn on Seth Rollins.
Oh, poor Seth.
I mean, look, this is the issue with what WWE has done, right? They have all these guys who are basically heels, and they've not created really any faces.
Right.
So you have Seth Rollins as your face, and the only reason he's a face is because the crowd loves him. He
Right.
came back as a heel, and he got cheered.
Right.
Roman Reigns is a face, and he gets booed.
All right.
Like WWE is so bad at everything.
Right.
How?
It's interesting,
How?
but we both are in agreement. Roman Reigns needs to be repackaged.
He has to be
Please
repackaged.
figure it out.
Has to
Pay
be.
attention to what's going on.
But I think he has to go away. I think
Yeah.
we talked about this, 2 months ago maybe?
Yep.
And we both agreed that he has to go away for some time. Doesn't have to be an extended period like I want, but he has to go away for a little bit so then you can bring him back as something new. And if he comes back as the baddest heel on the planet, cool. If he comes back as Joe Awane, cool. But he has to go away for a while.
Now I want to talk about some rumors that I saw on the interwebs, and they were exciting because I had a chance to meet some of these characters. There's been some rumors that the WWE might go after, might be peeking at New Japan ROH superstars, talented individuals, the Young Bucks. And I saw that, and I'm like, it could be a situation where both parties agree. It could be a situation in which the stars are aligned, and the Young Bucks could come to SmackDown and take over, or they could come to Monday Night Raw, have a lot of great feuds, and they could be the preeminent tag team. Now, the other side of it is that the Young Bucks right now, the reason why they're popular is they're basically able to write their own ticket. They're creative. They have a lot of control. This is some of the reason the likes of Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, they want to do their own thing. They don't want to feel like robots. And even in the clip that I will preview has some thoughts that Daniel Bryan shared that might lead you to believe that some of these wrestlers are not happy with how the WWE is so packaged to the point that every word, every syllable is programmed into a script that they got to perform. And that really is kind of the antithesis of creativity, is that much control. I mean, if you just gave the Young Bucks a script and made them read it, and you watered them down, they might not be as good. So I'm curious, what do you make of those rumors? And if the WWE is lucky enough to get and acquire the Young Bucks, would they be successful, or would the WWE ruin them like they've kind of started to ruin Bobby Roode?
It'd be an unmitigated disaster. Like, there'd be no way the Young Bucks could come in and be...
The Young Bucks.
Yeah, as good as they are right now. The one thing about the Young Bucks that is so much fun is they go out there and they just stir the pot, right? Whether it be with WWE, whether it be with whoever they're in a program with. That's what they do. And they do it in their own way. And the Young Bucks are so talented, and everybody knows them because they have marketed themselves in such a way that it's absolutely brilliant. They started their own YouTube
entertainment channel, and show.
They all their shirts that you see at Hot Topics, that's all them. They design all of those. Everything for the Bullet Club, they design all of that. That's all them. You know, them coming out dressed up like the Rockers. I mean, that's them. That's what they do. Their Super Kick Party. That's them. I mean, that's them. They pulled things from what they grew up watching, you know? It would be absolutely atrocious if the Young Bucks went to WWE. There's no way it could happen. Now, they might get a good payday out of it, but is it going to be worth it? Because they make so much money in merchandise, and they make so much money in everything else that they have their hands in. WWE is going to want a cut of all of it. So I don't see it happening, and I don't know if it'd be a good fit. I really don't. I think maybe at some point they might go to WWE, but I think it'll be much later in their career when they're just like, sure, we want a payday.
What about the likes of Kenny Omega? I feel like right now he'd be perfect to come in and maybe do some things and maybe jump into a few with AJ Styles right away into the main event picture. A splash at SummerSlam. I mean, you need a splash. I think this year's SummerSlam needs a major splash, and it's not Brock Lesnar. It's not him dropping the belt. That's not a major splash. I'm talking about an entrance. I'm talking about a surprising individual that comes in that we have no clue, that we're shocked. And obviously the biggest one would be CM Punk. If somehow or another the talks were underway, you bring back CM Punk for the next 3 years, you would increase ratings, you'd increase interest. But the next name, a surprising entrant into a match or someone that just shows up there at SummerSlam, Kenny Omega.
I think at some point Kenny will work in WWE.
Just not yet?
No. Not just not right now. And you got to remember, too, his contract with New Japan goes, I want to say, until...
I think it was a year deal, wasn't it a year?
Yeah, I want to say it goes until next Wrestle Kingdom or just before next Wrestle Kingdom. So he's got some time. So he won't be at SummerSlam for sure. But at some point, Kenny Omega will make the jump. I just don't know when. But you're right. If he was to come in right now, he would have an incredible show with not just AJ Styles, but Nakamura. He would also have an incredible show with a guy like Finn Balor.
Ooh.
I mean, there's so much that you can do. And do you realize all those guys were in New Japan? Like, those are all New Japan guys.
New Japan guys.
New Japan is awesome. If New Japan had TV, honestly, we would not be doing a WWE review show.
Yeah.
We would be watching New Japan
review.
New Japan. That would be it.
Yeah.
Because it's so much better than what WWE puts out. Okay. And look, so the other night when we're sitting there kind of constructing what we're going to talk about for this show, I went to WWE's website. Mind you, I haven't been to WWE's website in probably 15 years.
They changed it up a little bit.
Yeah, they have.
Nice.
And I'm looking because we're going to do our stock watch here coming up. And I'm like, well, we got to find some guys that we need to talk about. And I'm just kind of scrolling through. And I'm like, God, they have so much talent.
Underutilized.
But they do such a poor job of packaging it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You've got so many guys that you need to get on the show, and you do not. You put Roman Reigns on for a third of it, or you chew up, I don't know, probably 45 minutes of it with awful promos.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing that us fans are looking at is, at this point in time, when we look at all these stars, you know what? They should be shining brighter. And why is it? Too much control, not enough creativity. It's too programmed. It's too prepackaged. It's not enough to highlight the talented individuals that you have. And I think it has to be making its way back to the WWE, is that the fans, SmackDown ratings have been a little bit lower. Raw ratings are not as good. It has to be getting back that this product right now is not as good as it could be. You're absolutely right. And I think that the WWE has to make their superstars shine brighter because it just helps business all the way around.
There has to be something that gets done. I mean, it's so frustrating to watch other organizations and other wrestling companies put on great shows time in, time out, and then you turn on WWE because it's local and you grew up with it and you're hoping for something good, and you just get spoon-fed crap. You know, New Japan does such a great job. Right now we sound like New Japan honks, but New Japan does such a great job of getting everybody involved, and they do a really good job of mixing it up so it's not so much wear and tear on your body. Like, if you look at WWE wrestlers, they're all hurt. They're all hurt. I mean, how many times a week are we doing news and notes, and we're talking about a guy who's dealing with injuries? And you got guys wrestling through things. Jeff Hardy has a leg injury, and he's got a back injury, and that's why you see him limping around and you don't see him doing as much right now, because he's trying to work through these things. He's got a pinched nerve in his neck as well. So why do you have to sit there and have these guys wrestle all the time? That's why New Japan does so many multi-man matches. And I know we get tired of the multi-man matches, but New Japan does an incredible job with their 6-man tags or their 12-man tags. I mean, you've got 6 guys on each corner of the ring. That's amazing that they're able to fly around and everybody gets all their stuff in. WWE has to figure out a better way to utilize its talent, take care of its talent, and put them in a spot where everybody's getting over. You know, the good guys aren't the only ones who have to get over. Bad guys got to get over too. And there's a way to do it where everybody gets over. Good God. On Raw, we had Sasha Banks and we had Bayley in their counseling event. Like, you chewed up how much time showing us them sitting there discussing their issues. Nobody cares. We've already lived it for the last 5 months. This thing finally has some fire.
Yeah.
And now you're going to cool it out?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Put them in the ring. Let them beat the crap out of each other.
Exactly.
You know, you don't have to give us these promos. Tell the story in the ring. And if somebody's hurt, that's the only time you should really use a promo is when somebody's hurt or you're trying to build. It's your build on the go home show.
What we're seeing is the backstage stuff is corny and stage 2, and it doesn't come off right. It's just too scripted. It's not real. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. It's not something we want to see, and that's the tough part with WWE and what they're doing right now. But let's get into it. I got the names. You gave me the list. I'm ready to get your opinion on these, and we'll go through them quickly. And I think we're going to agree on a lot of them, so I'll let you take the lead, and I'll give you the stock watch. Tell me, in terms of the Doc and Jock stock watch, what we do, if you haven't heard it before, is we periodically we'll talk about a wrestler, and we'll tell you if their stock is up, if they've plateaued, or if their stock is down, and because of the way WWE is utilizing them, or based on injury, or their own personality, or they mess something up, we'll definitely talk about these wrestlers, and it's a good list. Let's start with Bobby Roode.
Down.
Yeah.
Down. Like, I'm so bored by everything he does.
Exactly. Not even making the show sometimes.
Yep.
Seth Rollins.
Way up.
Yep.
He's probably one of the best things on Raw right now.
On fire. And they're promoting him well. He's saying, look, I want to be the guy. I want to kill every show. I want to be the guy that you talk about as having the great match. He's a total package.
Yep.
He's elevated
Absolutely.
to the roof. Drew McIntyre.
Oh, we've already discussed. He's way up there too. Like, him and Seth Rollins, probably the 2 best things on Raw right now.
Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville.
I want to say that they're up, but I just don't see it. I really feel like they've kind of plateaued, and they're trying to figure out what direction they're going in next.
Bayley.
I would have said up as of last week. After this week, I'm left scratching my head, so I have no idea. Plateau?
Sanity.
They just lost their opening match, right?
Yeah.
But I want to say they're up. I think there's still some fire for them. I mean, they're brand new, so until Vince ruins them, they're up.
Andre Cien Almas.
He is so far in the ground. Vince has totally crushed him. Mind you, on NXT, he was awesome. And Zelina Vega is smoking hot. Like, give you wet dreams hot. And just a dumpster fire. Absolutely awful.
Where's the bar? How do you rate them?
Okay, so I'm glad you bring this up, right? Because we were talking about this before the show. I was like, where's the bar at? Where's the bar at? So while we were discussing
You Googled, where's the bar?
Yeah, I did. And apparently on the other day's Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer answered the question that was sent in by a listener. So we weren't the only ones with this question. Where are the bar? Turns out they have no program going on right now. They're still there, but they have 0 program. So
that's the height. And literally, to wrap up what's wrong with WWE, you have no program for the bar?
For the bar. Creative has nothing for these guys to do. So all they're doing are house shows and dark matches. How? Cesaro is one of the best athletes you have in WWE. On top of it, Sheamus is a brute. How? The bar was the most over thing 6 months ago.
If I was the bar, I would actually, if that report comes out, I would tweet that nonstop for every hour, every half hour, and be like, look, this is what we are. This is what WWE is doing to us. Literally, you have an option when you have guys that maybe are not involved with a feud with somebody else. It's called jobber matches. It's called get them on TV. It's called stick a microphone in their face. It's called get them on Miz TV. Hell, the bar TV. Something. Give them a segment. They've done a lot of things with the other guys. The bar is great. They have personality. Look, you don't got a program for them? Send them out to their bars. I mean, their Instagram and social media is amazing. Show their workouts. Pump them up. That is the height of ridiculousness. You don't have a program for the bar. Are you serious?
Yeah. That's what's going on with them right now.
Dude, if that's the case, I'm coming in with scripts week in and week out. We could fight Sanity. We could fight this team. We could fight that team. Give us some local guys. Give us a bid. Give us something. You don't have a program for the bar. Get the hell out of here. That's the height of ridiculousness of 2018. You don't have a program for the bar. I'm shocked.
I have no idea how you don't.
That's infuriating. And that's something that gets
that just goes to point to what WWE does and what WWE Creative does. And we're gonna let Daniel Bryant talk about it here in a few moments.
Yeah.
So it just
terrible,
yes.
terrible on so many levels.
Flabbergasting.
I can't believe it. I probably won't get past it throughout the show that they don't have a program for the bar.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Asuka. Wow.
I mean, she's doing matches with James Ellsworth. So yeah, in the toilet, which sucks because she came in with so much hype too.
They've worn her out too.
And Vince has killed her.
Yep.
Like anybody who comes up from NXT, he just craps the bed with, and I don't know why. I don't know if he hates the way Triple H builds them up down there.
Yeah.
But when they hit the main roster, they're just like fodder for Roman Reigns, or they're fodder for whoever the newest toiletry is.
If I want to play psychologist or I want to play analyst, a guy like Vince McMahon, maybe you definitely think he definitely is invested in their characters, but maybe because of like sales, maybe because of merchandise sales, attendance, maybe these guys come up and he automatically starts rating them based on other things other than in the ring.
Well,
and then,
sure.
And then these guys, look at all these names. Bobby Roode. What are you going to sell from him? He's not selling anything.
Right.
Why do you think Roman Reigns is there? Probably that stupid ass shirt that he's got designed. Roman Reigns is selling like hotcakes. Seth Rollins, that shirt selling like hotcakes, putting asses in seats. Asuka, is she really putting asses in seats? Andre Cien Almas, is he really putting asses in the seats?
Yeah, but how many times have you seen Andre Cien Almas?
He could be, but he could be.
I've seen him twice.
But if we're trying to play analyst as to why maybe some NXT individuals,
I get it.
Maybe that the dollar signs are not ringing through the roof for Vince.
Do you remember when Elias came up? Like, I think we both were kind of like, okay, whatever. But eventually it kind of grew on you. And then he started to kind of take on his own personality. And now he can be a highlight of a show.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he's great in the ring. I think he's good to fair. You just got to give these guys time. Like Finn Balor, right? Finn Balor's the last name on this list. And I would say Finn Balor, Vince McMahon has lost all confidence in Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Because Finn should be a top 5 guy in your company. And I feel like Finn is somewhere near 10 to 15. He just meddles around. And you have... Do you know what he's doing right now? I have no idea what direction he's going in. Like what program he's in, where
Baron
he's
Corbin?
at.
Finn Balor and Baron Corbin, the Constable?
Is that what we're doing?
That's what we're doing.
I mean,
that's terrible.
What is that?
Underutilized, right?
Exactly.
And so this goes to set up the next clip. It's about a minute clip with Daniel Bryan. He's on a podcast, which is always great when these wrestlers get on podcasts because they're always so open to talk about the ins and outs of the business, and they definitely are able to shoot a little bit more and give some real insight into what's going on. And he has a comment that I think you want to talk about, because when I heard it, I was like, whoa. I thought it might have been a suspendable comment, but I'll get your take on it, and you can talk over it as well. It's a minute clip, Daniel Bryan shooting hard on WWE.
I am definitely up for it. My question, you asked me that question. I will answer it with a question.
Oh,
Do you trust WWE with telling that story from now until WrestleMania 35? like what in the last several years has shown to you that something like that is possible here?
And he goes on here to elaborate a little bit more.
I think that would be awesome. I think it would be something that the fans would be excited to see. Whether or not we can prolong, because people want to see me punch Miz in the face. I want to punch Miz in the face. Whether we can prolong that on television for that period of time, I don't know.
So that's Daniel Bryant shooting on WWE Creative on a recent episode of the Gorilla Position podcast. Shout out to those guys.
It speaks to itself with a comment.
Right. He's talking about his match with The Miz at WrestleMania and
having a program.
WWE can get it to that point. And again, he tells you how it is. Like he as an employee of that company, as one of the most over baby faces in that company, has zero confidence in them to be able to tell that story. Mind you, The Miz and Daniel Bryan already laid all the groundwork. Already laid it. When Daniel Bryan couldn't wrestle and they were doing what is it, SmackDown Live or SmackDown Talks, Smack Talk? Or
Talking
whatever.
Smack.
Yeah, that. When they were doing all of that, The Miz basically paved the road when he sat there and would call Daniel Bryan out every single week. And then The Miz had the audacity to go and steal his moves and use them in every single match, every single week. So the groundwork's already laid. You just have to get these guys in the program to be able to do this, and it's all set up for you. You're both on SmackDown, and you know what they have Daniel Bryan doing right now? They've got him in Team Hell No. They've got him in a tag team while The Miz is off doing whatever The Miz is doing. I don't even know what the hell The Miz is doing right now. That's how bad WWE creative is.
Yeah, and it speaks to someone who probably is aware and talking to the boys about what's going on, and for him to come out publicly and say that, unfortunately, what he said is true.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to live with.
He's
All right.
spot on.
All right, hit me with the news and notes.
All right, so a ton of news and notes this week. So, new update on Extreme Rules. Running counter to what I reported last week, we're now looking at Kevin Owens v. Braun Strowman, as well as Roman Reigns v. Bobby Lashley. There are rumors that Dolph Ziggler's contract may be expiring soon, and he could go to New Japan if he's enticed to. So that's a possibility. So he might be dropping the strap, might not be dropping the strap. We got to watch and see. You remember when I was telling you about WWE tag team for the women?
Yeah.
So apparently that was Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch was the one who was pitching this to WWE. Her vision of this would be the belts would travel from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. That way you have a massive pools of ladies to draw on. And the girls from NXT could come up and challenge the girls on Raw, could come over and challenge the girls on SmackDown. Raw could come over to SmackDown, SmackDown could go to Raw. It'd be like how it used to be with the belt traveling everywhere. Bray Wyatt was involved in a head-on collision Friday night on his way to a house show. He did suffer some injuries. That's why he's been off TV this Monday, and he missed everything that took place this past weekend.
When I watch that travel show, when they kind of go from town to town, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more because they're driving at night.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, man, these cats are busting their ass all day. They work out, then they perform where your adrenaline's pumping. Then you got to get in a car and drive for 4 hours. I feel like it should happen more.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, and thank goodness he's okay, but hopefully his injuries allow him to get back super fast.
So it sounds like Fox is going to be having a lot of WWE programming. Basically, Fox will replace all of its UFC programming with WWE programming. That being said, it sounds like NXT will be on Fox, probably Fox Sports 1. They will also be bringing back Saturday night's main event on Fox Sports 1. And there is talk of having a studio show. So it sounds like Fox Sports 1 is going to be the hub for everything WWE. SmackDown will be on your local Fox station.
Very cool.
Sticking with NXT, some news from the Yellow Brand. Tommaso Ciampa has been talking trash to Aleister Black and possibly setting up a feud there.
Oh.
Yep. And Lars Sullivan, just all kinds of injuries coming out of last week's, or 2 weeks ago, NXT TakeOver. Lars Sullivan suffered a broken jaw 2 weeks ago, so he's going to be sidelined for a couple of weeks while that repairs. Former Impact talent Laurel Van Ness and Robbie E. They just attended a WWE tryout on Friday, and both have signed developmental deals with NXT. Laurel Van Ness is dating Zack Ryder. She was on what was it? Was it Tough Enough, I believe? She was one of the final contestants, and she ended up not making the cut.
Gotcha.
So she's always wanted to come back to WWE, so big time for her. Robbie E., that guy's got abs on abs on abs. So when you see him, you'll know he's got great hair too. Speaking of Impact, this is what we were talking about in the preview here of the show. There is talk that Kenny Omega may appear on Impact.
Oh.
And there may be a storyline that's in the work. So remember Don Callis. He's in charge of booking at Impact. He's a big deal there. He's also the color guy for Impact, as well as the color guy for New Japan's English broadcast. So he was real instrumental in setting up the Jericho-Omega match. He's kind of been the bridge between those two guys. They're all Canadian guys. I believe Don Callis is also from Winnipeg. Anyways, there's a lot of smoke here, so don't be surprised if something does happen. Spoiler for ROH, so I'm going to tell you right now, turn your
Volume down.
volume down.
Spoiler alert.
Next 10 seconds. Jay Lethal defeats Dalton Castle to become the two-time ROH champion.
Oh, new champ.
The belt changed hands on a TV taping. Castle, throughout his reign, has dealt with a lot of injuries, and the run had lost a lot of steam as soon as it started. So this change, not so surprising. And a sad note. I feel like the last 2 weeks, man, we've gone out on sad notes. Former Tough Enough winner, Matt Capinelli, he passed away late last week due to his fight with brain cancer. He was 38. When he was first diagnosed, he was in OVW, and he was able to get his brain cancer into remission, stayed in remission for almost a decade. Late last week, his wife posted that he had finally lost his fight.
It's unfortunate. Matt Capitelli, Miz honored him, and just sometimes time goes by fast, and you just got to, like we always say, live every day to the fullest, and thoughts and prayers to the family.
You realize those two guys were going to be in a tag team?
Yeah, they're going to be together.
It's crazy to me.
Right.
Absolutely
like that.
crazy.
I remember his showing, and he had some talent.
Yeah. He was solid, man. And when he was in OVW, he was like one of the biggest draws there. And really unfortunate how he found out about his brain tumor. He was having a match, and he got clocked from behind. It was supposed to be a work, but he took a hard bump. Guy smacked him in the back of the head and knocked him out cold. Like he face planted down on the concrete. Ended up having a concussion. Went in for some testing for his concussion, and they found the tumor.
Wow.
And that's what led to his
first surgery.
Yeah. So really a blessing in disguise, but a really messed up way to find out that you had a brain tumor. You know,
Man, unfortunate news. Man, tough
absolutely
stuff.
bad.
All right, we want to thank everybody who supported the Doc and Jock Wrestling
Hold on, wait 1
Podcast.
second. Have you? This is like really tasteless, but whatever. It's me. Have you ever seen Dead Wrestler Beach?
No.
I'm gonna have to show you Dead Wrestler
Okay.
Beach. Anyways, Dead Wrestler Beach now has 2 new members to it. So
Okay.
if you go
can
on
imagine.
YouTube, you go on YouTube, find Dead Wrestler Beach.
Yep.
You'll be entertained.
I can only imagine,
It's
right.
totally tasteless, but go find it.
Thank you to those who support this podcast, the BDR Cast. Thank you so much. They air every single Wednesday on the Podcast Detroit Network. You can check them out at BDR Cast. Mikey and the crew, the most inappropriate wrestling podcast. They're great guys, and we enjoy our relationship with them. Breaking down the ring, they do great work, and they're definitely in depth with NXT, WWE, New Japan, Ring of Honor. They are in the know, trust me. And then thank you to Dennis Farrell. We greatly appreciate our relationship with him. He does the wrestling perspective stuff with the likes of James Ellsworth and Petey Williams from Impact. Dennis is in the know, and he shared a funny story too, in that he gets emails where they go, "We love your podcast on WrestlingPerspective.com. Can you get rid of that Dennis guy?" Dennis is great, and I love his self-deprecating humor. So thank you, Dennis. Follow him. You can follow him, WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. Follow him on Twitter at Dennis77Farrell. Again, that's WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. And he gave us some love. He said, we are the only other wrestling podcast besides his own that he listens to. Shout out to Dennis. Thanks, Dennis.
That's big time right there.
Let's get the hell out of here. Everyone, enjoy your week. We'll be back next week with another edition of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast. Later.